I'm Neil Walter for Kit Guru. This case is the Cougar DarkBlader-G, not the Dark Bladder and not the Dark Blade, but the Dark Blader. This case may look familiar because I recently did a build for a PC giveaway, which was run in conjunction with Kit Guru, AMD, Patriot, Cougar, Gigabyte, and AlphaCool. And that case was the DarkBlader S, which is the same case with a different front panel and some copper accents. The DarkBlader S was a decent choice for a case to build a full custom loop system into. The question is the DarkBlader-G a decent case to buy for cash money? The reason I ask that question is because the series of DarkBlader cases, there are a number of different models, the same chassis with a different front panel. They cost £109.99, which is rather expensive. So they look the part, they're big, they're impressive, they've got glass on both sides, they've got RGB, but are they value for money? To get inside the DarkBlader, we take off the top panel, which is held with two thumb screws at the rear. Off it comes, obviously heavily ventilated. That reveals the top magnetic dust filter. That also releases the side panels. Which are symmetrical. And now we have the open chassis. You can see two of the drive mounts there. Two there. It supports either 4 SSDs or 4 hard drives or any permutation thereof. Release these plastic clips. And there you can see the RGB fan control hub. You can plug in proprietary Cougar fans, and I will be doing that. However, as stock, this case comes with a single fan and it's black. No RGB in terms of fans. You do get RGB in the front panel. The front panel is a slightly curious thing. So the front I/O, as you can see, is on this side rather than being on the front. There's no optical drive bay. It does not have Type-C, which is slightly disappointing. So it looks quite stylish, but it's actually functionally quite basic. To remove the front panel, I have to dive in here and take out a couple of screws. 1 and 2. Up and away. The thing is, the panel's tethered by all the front I/O cables on this side, and it has this control cable feeding off this side. So the front I/O is on the side, but it's very much part of the front panel, and the cables are still a bit of a pain. That cable goes to that connector there on the hub, and now I can swing the chassis around. Not there's a massive amount to see. Pull off that filter there. Et voila. You can install fans or a radiator. It's not ideal. I mean, that's a bit of a pantomime if you want to get to your front dust filter to clean it. I mean, either pull it out of the bottom, which is generally not ideal, or the side. We've seen that with a number of cases. This would seem to me to be the most complicated approach. Inside the core chassis, we have this cable management plate, which also has a graphics card support attached to it. When I did the liquid cool build, I went for a horizontal graphics card. I removed that support. I used that pump mount in that build. It worked okay, but it was very close to the graphics card. I just had enough space for the pump. I'm talking in the order of millimeters, but it worked, it was useful, so that's good. I can't really talk about my first impressions of the DarkBlader-G because I'm quite familiar with the DarkBlader S. As I say, essentially the same chassis. It's fairly clear the core chassis is quite average. The extra bells and whistles come down to the front panel and the RGB lighting. For the next step in the review, I'm going to build a PC using an all-in-one cooler. I've already done the full custom loop after all, and I think an air cooler wouldn't really do this justice. So we're going to build a system and then we'll check out the thermals. With the test system, I've gone for an RGB theme because the case supports ARGB, and it is, to my mind, one of the key features of the DarkBlader-G. The hardware consists of an AMD Ryzen 9 3900X, so we're talking about a 12-core CPU. CPU cooler is a Deepcool Castle 240 RGB. Motherboard, Gigabyte X570 Aorus Elite. The memory is some G.Skill FlareX DDR4 3200. That's all black without any RGB. Graphics card, Nvidia RTX 2080 Founders Edition. SSD, Toshiba RC100, which is under one of the heat shields. And the power supply, also ARGB. It's a SuperFlower Leadex 3 ARGB 850 watt gold unit. I tested the case in two basic configurations. So we've got the stock 120 fan at the rear, we've got the all-in-one on the roof with two 120 fans on it, we've got no fans in the front. That's the sort of default configuration. Of course, you could have the all-in-one at the front and no fans in the roof. And then for my second configuration, I added two Cougar SB120 fans at the front. I tested with the fans at two speeds, 1000 RPM, which is essentially silent, and 1800 RPM, which is full speed and bloomin' noisy. This is the sound the Cougar makes when it's got 5 fans installed. So we've got 2 at the front, 2 in the roof, the 1 at the rear, and they're all set to maximum speed, which is 1800 RPM. The system itself is not under load. It's only drawing 85 watts at the wall socket at the moment. It's noisy. Manually setting the fan speeds to 1000 RPM. It might not be silent, but that is much quieter. I ran 2 different stress tests. We've got the time spy stress test loop, which mainly stresses the GPU, but also stresses the CPU. That's not particularly hard on the CPU, and as a result, the power draw at the wall socket is 345 watts for this particular system. The harder test for the system is AIDA64, that really hammers the CPU and drives the power draw up to 415 watts. At idle, this system draws something like 80 watts at the wall socket. I'd classify the time spy test as moderate, whereas the AIDA64 test is harsh and fairly unreasonable. And the case pulled through the time spy stress test without any difficulty whatsoever. AIDA64 is a slightly different story. The CPU, if you really hammer the fans, you'll get the temperature down to about 80. If you go for the quiet mode, it's about 90 degrees, which with a Ryzen 9 3900X is as high as you want to go. You will not be surprised to hear that I think the front panel is restricting airflow. Essentially, if you want an airflow case, you want a mesh front panel, this is more or less the opposite of that. And the fact is the DarkBlader-G is a peculiar case. So for example, access to that front air filter, as you've seen, is tricky, and there's no excuse for that. There just isn't. The fact the front panel is restrictive, we've seen that on so many cases now, it gets a bit dull and old to argue about it, but you know, it's just a fact. The top of the case is ventilated and filtered. That works reasonably well. We've got glass on both sides. Now the glass on this side, on the back panel, it's led me to install an ARGB power supply, so there is actually some function to the glass, but nonetheless it makes cable management awkward. There is that cable management panel that goes over all the cables. However, the EPS connector from the SuperFlower Leadex 3 power supply, it was really tight going inside that cable management cover. Similarly, the cable management holes, not a grommet in sight. I don't know why not. It seems like a complete oversight. The thing is, Cougar has spent some money. That front panel cannot be cheap. These drive caddies are an absolutely lovely little piece of work. Little spring-loaded thumb screw there, absolutely lovely. It's a similar story of that drive caddy there. It actually seems quite monstrous that I've removed them from the case because I don't need them. But these are nice pieces of work that cannot be cheap. And yet the core chassis itself, it's average, it really is. I can accept a core chassis that is average because by definition, average means it does its job to a certain extent. That's fine. Then you get into details like pricing. The pricing here, unfortunately, is steep. £110 in the UK will get you a lot of good cases, but this case is too expensive for what you get. Now, if we step back and we look at just the aesthetics from this angle, this is probably the best angle if you look at it, the glass looks good. The RGB inside looks good. The RGB lighting on the front I/O, that looks pretty swish. But you'll note it's kind of diffused. The green here doesn't match the green on the Deepcool liquid cooler or on the graphics card. So if you wanted to look absolutely right on, it doesn't really. It kind of looks pleasant. And the thing is, when you're paying this sort of money, I think you have a reasonable expectation it's going to be bloomin' good. So it's an average core chassis that looks quite smart. The cable management around the back, it works okay. It ends up looking okay. It's a biggish, heavyish case, that's perfectly all right, and it just ends up being too expensive. The funny thing is, the major Achilles heel, the airflow, that so much depends on the hardware you install. I've gone for the 12-core Ryzen 9 3900X and RTX 2080, and those are a stern test of any case. It just about scrapes through that test. You will be able to play games without a shadow of a doubt, but you would not want to build a workstation into this case. But I feel a bit silly saying that. You look at it, it's not a workstation, is it? It's obviously a pretty case. It's just unfortunately rather expensive. So, not a failure, but very hard to find a convincing reason why you want to buy it. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, hit the bell button, subscribe, head over to kitguru.net to read our news and reviews, head over to our merch store to buy a t-shirt. I'm Leo Woodard for Kit Guru. This is the Cougar DarkBlader-G.